In discussions about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, certain myths are often repeated as fact. But understanding the truth is essential for meaningful dialogue and for peace. Let's examine some of these myths and the facts that counter them. Palestinian terrorism is a justified response to the conditions Israel has imposed on Palestinians. Fact: terrorism is never justified regardless of the perpetrator. Terrorism means the deliberate use of violence against civilians to kill, instill fear, and spread despair. Organizations like Hamas, designated as terrorist groups by Canada and others, have launched thousands of rockets at Israeli towns and cities since taking control of Gaza in 2007. Israelis live with the constant threat of suicide bombings, stabbings, or rocket fire ravaging in schools, buses, or cafes. No nation would accept such attacks on its civilians. And terrorism doesn't advance, persist, destroys the stability needed to achieve it. Myth: Israel is committing genocide and ethnic cleansing against Palestinians. Fact: genocide requires intent to destroy a group in whole or in part. Ethnic cleansing means forcibly removing a population through terror. Israel's military actions are acts of self-defense, targeting combatants and terrorist infrastructure, not civilians. Tragic civilian casualties do occur in war, but without genocidal intent, they do not constitute genocide, and the numbers speak clearly. In 1948, the Palestinian population in what is now Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza was about 1.4 million. Today, it's over 5.5 million, growing steadily despite conflict. Reality contradicts claims of genocide or ethnic cleansing. Myth: the phrase globalized intifada is not a call for violence. Fact: in practice, intifada has meant violent uprising, often targeting Jewish civilians. The first intifada from 1987 to 1991 involved stone throwing, Molotov cocktails, and riots. The second intifada from 2000 to 2005 brought suicide bombings in buses, restaurants, and markets, killing hundreds of Israeli civilians. To globalize that concept is to call for violence against Jews and Israelis worldwide. My peaceful protest. Governments and law enforcement must take such rhetoric seriously. Israel's security barrier and checkpoints are meant to suppress Palestinians. Every nation has the right and duty to protect its citizens from terror. After the deadly Second Intifada, Israel built a security barrier. Only about 5% is a concrete wall. The rest is fencing. The result: a dramatic drop in attacks. In 2002, before the barrier, there were over 5,300 terrorist attacks and 451 deaths. Afterward, suicide bombings nearly ceased. Even Palestinian militant leaders admit the barrier hindered their ability to carry out attacks. Myth: Israel's treatment of Palestinians is like the Nazis' treatment of Jews during the Holocaust. Fact: this comparison is not only false, it's deeply offensive. The Holocaust was the systematic, industrialized murder of 6 million Jews. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a complex, territorial, and political dispute. Equating the two distorts history, trivializes Jewish suffering, and aligns with the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism. It's what scholars call Holocaust inversion, flipping victims and perpetrators to delegitimize Israel. Myth: BDS is a peaceful movement. Fact: the boycott, divestment, sanctions or BDS movement singles out Israel for discriminatory treatment, ignoring far worse human rights violators in the region. It denies the Jewish people's right to self-determination, fosters anti-Semitism, and harms Palestinians too by costing them jobs and economic opportunities tied to Israeli partnerships. Rather than promote peace, BDS shuts down dialogue and places all blame on one side. Myth: the only solution is a one-state solution. It's fact: a sustainable peace requires two states for two peoples. A single state where Jews and Palestinians who can even negotiate peace today expected to coexist harmoniously is unrealistic. As writer Yossi Klein Halevi put it, Only the naive or the malicious would fall for it. Negotiated two-state solution based on mutual recognition, security, and dignity is the only path forward. Myth: the Temple Mount belongs only to Palestinians. Jews visit only to provoke. Fact: the Temple Mount Har Habata in Hebrews, the holiest site in Judaism. It's where the first and second temples stood for over 1,000 years. Until destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE, Jews mourn this loss every year on Tisha B'Av and remember it at every wedding when a glass is shattered. Historical and archaeological evidence confirms the Jewish connection. Even the Al-Aqsa Mosque was built atop the ruins of the Jewish temples, underscoring centuries of layered history, not exclusive ownership. Myth: Palestinians have never had the chance to establish their own state. Fact: they've been offered statehood multiple times and rejected it. In 1937, the Peel Commission proposed partition. Arabs refused. In 1947, the UN offered a two-state plan. Arab leaders rejected it and attacked Israel upon its founding. In 2000 and 2008, Israeli leaders offered generous peace deals, including East Jerusalem as a Palestinian capital. Both were turned down. Peace requires willingness to say yes, not just demand concessions. Without Israel, Jews and Arabs would live in harmony. Fact: anti-Jewish violence predates Israel's founding by centuries. In 1929, 67 Jews were massacred in Hebron. In 1941, the Farhad pogrom in Iraq killed nearly 200 Jews across the Arab world. Jews lived under oppressive, dhimmi laws, second-class citizens at best. In 1948, nearly 820,000 Jews were expelled from Arab countries, losing homes, property, and heritage. This history shows the conflict isn't just about borders, it's deeper, older, and more complex. Myth: Zionism is racism. Fact: Zionism is the national liberation movement of the Jewish people, their right to return to their ancestral homeland. For 2,000 years, Jews prayed toward Jerusalem. The modern Zionist movement, formalized in 1897, sought refuge from persecution, not domination. The UN once falsely equated Zionism with racism in 1975, but revoked that resolution in 1991. Saying Zionism is racism denies Jews the same right to self-determination granted to every other people. Myth: Jews are white colonial settlers with no ties to the land. Fact: the Jewish people are indigenous to the land of Israel, connected for over 3,000 years. Even in exile, Jewish life revolved around Israel, prayers facing Jerusalem, holidays tied to its harvests, and the Passover Seder ending with "next year in Jerusalem." Archaeology, texts, and continuous presence confirm this bond. And today, over half of Israel's Jews come from the Middle East, Africa, and Asia, not Europe. They aren't colonizers, they're returning to their homeland. Truth matters, especially in times of conflict. Rejecting myths doesn't mean ignoring Palestinian suffering or legitimate grievances, but peace can't be built on falsehoods, must be built on facts, mutual recognition, and a shared commitment to coexistence. All information in this video is sourced from the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, CIJA.Commits and Facts series.